Hello. We are totally doing this for the first time. We did not have recording problems earlier. Right, guys? Okay. Yeah, I'm the Englishman, and with me are
me, Magnum66.
Yeah, and Slade.
And this is the audio commentary for my Metal Gear Solid TAS in 105. It's 106.01 in in-game time because the in-game timer continues after I stopped input.
Yeah.
So I started working on this TAS in January. I did a 139 TAS in February, for about 3 years, ending in February 2012. And I considered the 139 to be pretty good, but then these two had to go and ruin my fun.
Yeah, there's just a few small changes here and there that had to be made.
Yeah, nothing too big.
No.
It's all 26 minutes of minor tweaks.
And there's also a friend of mine, Greg Ennis, also known as the Thrillness, if you've seen his other name on SDA or TAS videos, whatever. It was actually me and him who started on this game. We were going to do a segmented run, because the one on the SDA, as you know, was outdated. The Matt Powell one. I think you were just checking that up. What time was that again?
154.02 and 159.46 for single segment.
Yeah, and since then, like, Brazilian Joker, he had 149.01.
Yeah.
Much further back. And Slade was doing runs recently, too, that were, like, much improved on that. Like, I used to think that 149.01 was good single segment Big Boss. And then Slade came along, he was getting almost sub 140. And that's when me and Greg caught to that, and we were like thinking we should at least go for segmented and try and get down STA, because the one on STA was completely outdated. So we also wanted to check for glitches, because as you know, this game, there's not really much glitches in this game. And if we could find any, which you'll see later on perhaps, we would be able to save like over half an hour in the game. But it wasn't going to be easy, so that's when me and Greg got to work, and then Slade came into the picture, and we all just tried together and worked on trying to break this game and make it faster.
Yeah, so this play around is pretty much identical to the previous version, except for the very end. There's a small trick. But other than that, I'm still a big fan of how this play around came about. I think this was the third or fourth time that I had to do a different version of a play around when I was doing the first version of the TAS. I remember, I think it was the first version I accidentally killed the two guards when I was doing my hard test run. Anyway, here's the first big improvement. You could just knock on the wall here, which makes the guard approach faster, and then just, punch him in the head. No big deal.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the first play round. There's a couple of play rounds where you have to wait. So that.
Yeah, there's mandatory waiting anyway. So.
Yeah.
Why not make some fun out of it?
For future reference, the current RTA record is 1:10:10, held by MG Slade, who's also in the chat.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is 106.01, which should give you some idea of sort of how optimized the route has gotten since these two discovered. I think it was, you finalized some of the stuff in January, right? Like just after I came back from Awesome Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when the solution was found, but yeah, maybe February. I don't remember if it was for them.
It might have been, actually it was the early start 2013, because I remember saying to myself, I'm like, it was just the start 2013, and I said to myself, I'm like, I want to break this game by the end of this year, and it was just actually a few weeks after that the major stuff was found, so. Yeah,
this section was improved by a couple of frames, no big deal though, it's basically the same route, and coming up after this crawling section, I get to use another chaff, which is the strat the Brazilian Joker used. It saves about a second compared to the old one. I didn't do the old one last time because I needed to be a little more conservative about how much chaff I used. But considering how much of the game I skip in this run, I was able to use the chaff without having to worry about running out.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really plan it all that well. It just happened to all come together with the chaff collection.
Also, for viewers, anyone listening, you probably want to tell them, though, what day this was uploaded for? Just for reference.
Yeah, this run was initially set up as an April Fool's prank. I was sort of inspired by what Kojima did with MGS5. Essentially, he had this idea where he sort of set up a fake Swedish company who was creating a survival horror game called The Phantom Pain, and sort of tried to troll everyone. So I also got the idea from, I think it was Saturn, who did his Super Metroid run, his first big Super Metroid run that used the soft reset. He submitted it as a fake April Fool's prank that was actually real. So I got that. Okay, so here is the first big sequence break in the game. I would suggest that you don't blink.
Yeah, this is basically the room where it all started. Me and Greg, when we first got to this game, this is the main room we were trying to glitch, and one day I just found that.
It never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't. It just happens so fast, too, in this task that you really actually cannot maybe blink. Unless you're a fast blinker.
Yeah, so the idea of this is that you can trick the game into getting you to stand up in a vent, and when you do that, because there's no collision detection on the top of the vent, you're allowed to walk around. You can also do that to get on top of certain surfaces that you're technically not allowed to go on. And so in this case, it's you look up while you're in first-person view, and then immediately, I think it's 2 frames afterward, you press X. And if you do it right, you stand up in the vent.
The way I found that out that one day is I was testing everything I could under the vent, because actually the cell right beside that, where you do the good fight with Meryl and everything, that's where we were actually first testing. I think that's actually where Slade first found out when he was testing with me and Greg that you could get on the bed. Because I remember, I think it was me or Greg who was streaming, and Slade just came to the chat and told us, he's like, I'm on the bed. If you remember that, Slade?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then we were just like, yeah.
It was a strange setup to get on the bed. But it didn't use the glitch actually. It was just a different setup. But yeah, that's pretty much when we found out that it was possible to get where we are not supposed to.
This player, sorry, go ahead.
Test stuff to like get on the bed. Me and Greg always wanted to get to bed because he was testing stuff on emulator and found out that if you got to a certain point, you could go through the wall if you got into the darkest bed. So I was trying everything. And I even got on the desk in that room. We got on like the desk, we got stuck inside walls, Slade got on the bed. And then none of it helped us though, to get into the torture room, which you see now. So I knew the vent was like the only way possible. And one day I was testing around, and that's how I found out. If you look up in first person view, it actually like, Snake's body does move up a bit, because you can see when you go first person view, he lowers down again. So it actually puts you out of the vent just a bit more than you usually would be, and lets you stand up normally. But if you stay in first person view, it's gonna keep you stuck out of the vent, and you'll just stand up outside the vent. So I thought, look up, keep him out of the vent a bit, and as soon as you let go of the first person view, stand up, and it was just enough to push you through the wall. So.
Yeah, this is also one of the big disadvantages of using this route, because you warp to the torture cell rather than the torture area. The game assumes you've already done one round of torture, so you have to go through this twice. You have to wait for 2 rounds of torture for Otacon to break you out.
Yeah. Do you actually get onto the bed here though? I can't remember.
I did in an earlier play around, but the thing is it desynced, and I ended up liking this version better. When I realized that it desynced, because it was just completely random and it didn't make any sense. So I decided not to redo it because I liked the original version better. But yeah, you could see like earlier there was a little first person thing where I did, and that's apparently where it desynced by a couple of frames. But I just like this.
It's showtime. Ocelot wants you.
So I'm actually, I didn't hear the so you started, when was the first time that you discovered like the first big glitch? Because I remember seeing a lot of Thrillness' streams when he was trying to get out of bounds on Grey Fox.
The first big glitch we found that I think I found it. It was when me and Greg, I think, had already been trying to glitch the game for like 2 months or something like that. Maybe even just 1 month, I can't remember. And there was an old glitch found by Koji123456. You can probably find him on YouTube, where he got stuck inside a pillar in the hot room, which is known as the blast furnace. And he didn't know how he got it though. It was just an old video he found on his computer. And ever since then, I was always interested. I'm like, it might be possible to get out of bounds. So I was trying anything I could. And a glitch you will see later in the run, in the blast furnace, I actually found, and that was the first one I found. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's another out of bounds possible in the in the blast furnace, but the problem is that it's useless because it gets you stuck underneath the stairs at the start, like, to the little to the left of the entrance, which I think was also the version that Koji found.
Yeah, there's some where you can get stuck in like the pillars or whatever, and get stuck in stuff. You basically, it's all about wrapping around off a ledge where normally you'd fall off and back on, and you use that ledge to just kind of like get around the other side of the object, and the game doesn't know what to do, so it kind of just pops you inside of it, and then you're stuck.
And I remember in the original version of this play around before the desync, this first-person view was meant to force you to stare at the DARPA chief, but I realized that I'd already done that earlier. I'm usually a little more meticulous about variety in my play rounds. It's just that I ended up liking this better for some reason. Like right now, you can't see the input, but I'm actually started the infinite combo earlier. Oh yeah, I should probably explain infinite combo. There is a 3-punch combo system in this game which actually requires 3 button presses. If you press 2 buttons, then it only does 2 buttons of the combo. And if you press circle a 3rd time just outside of the window, you don't do the 3rd, which is a kick that knocks down enemies, and it's the one thing that makes them invincible. So that actually doesn't get any use, aside from the play around earlier, and also the liquid fight, which is much, much later. Also, hi, Otacon.
A guy who we've never met.
And we're also angsting over sacrificing a girl we've never met.
Wait.
I think that there was some possibility of trying to get the jail cell out of bounds. Although if you do it with a Game Shark, Johnny doesn't react to you at all. He doesn't seem to have any AI until this part.
Yeah, you can't really damage him or do anything if you do it before this part.
Hi, I am a trained soldier who cannot tell the difference between blood and ketchup. Surprise!
Not really too many other ways to do that part than that.
Well, you can also wait for Grey Fox to bail you out if you really suck.
Yeah, I just mean with, like, Johnny himself.
Yeah. Although if, you can kill him, but, you don't have to. And it actually ends up being slower because there's no way to cancel the later animation because you don't have any stuff.
Yeah.
So now, this is where things start to get weird because the game doesn't know what to think. It's a little confused, you know?
It's gonna take some explaining later when you see weapons being picked up.
Okay, yeah. Right here, I'm gonna pick up the PSG-1. But it doesn't work. The PSG-1 does not work. Also, I have to kill that guy, otherwise he will see me later. The PSG-1 does not work. It's treated as an ammo box. And now I have the PSG-1, but it has 0 ammo with 0 ammo capacity. And the only way to reactivate it, it's a dead weapon. The only way to reactivate it is to enter and beat a boss fight, which will not be until Vulcan Raven.
Yeah, certain weapons in this game are tied to certain bosses' life upgrades that you get after you beat them. Like, I think the Nikita is the tank because the game doesn't want you to fuck with it. Like, normally you get the Nikita story-wise after you beat the tank. So if you find some way to skip the tank, they wouldn't let you get the Nikita.
Yeah. Also,
they want you to go through the game in the order they programmed it to.
Yeah. Also, there are no lasers here anymore, and now we're just gonna run past the tank, which for some reason the tank waiting in ambush still has collision, unlike the bookcase in Psycho Mantis. But anyway, here's the tank. Hi, bye tank. See you later. Nice meeting you.
So at this point, I think we've skipped 2 boss fights already. The tank
yeah. And Grey Fox. No, Grey Fox is later.
You skip the stealth fight with Merwin?
Yes, and Ocelot. Mm-hmm. And and the game considers it beaten that you beat the boss when you enter this room, because now this room is in just the post tank. Because you still got the codec call, unfortunately. That's one of the only call signals that you're actually going to see in the run. Because normally you can cancel the ringtone on by pressing select on the earliest frame, or on any frame actually. So yeah, we're going to load this card over here, grab some extra chaff. I end up using almost exactly the amount of chaff that I pick up anyway, so that was required. Just gotta wait for this guy. This is throw canceling. You press R1 while you're judo throwing, and Snake will continue to run forward, and the enemy will still react as if he's being thrown. Every elevator in this game has a chance of opening right away. I think it works that way in Twin Snakes as well. I was asking you earlier, but it's been so long since I played Twin Snakes.
Yeah, it's the same for me.
So yeah, picking up the Nikita, but we're not going to blow up the electric floor we're just gonna go straight to Mantis. This is where the game really gets confused. The level design, the texture design, is set up for pre-boss fight Mantis, but the collision detection is post-boss fight. So technically, from a collision perspective, that bookcase is off to the left.
Because the game thinks, well, we've already made it to the torture room, so the game thinks we've endured the torture, but we haven't actually done the boss fight, so the bookcase is still there. But
yes, it's Schrodinger's boss. We have both beaten it and haven't beaten it. Also, here's the only other place for clipping here. It just saves a couple seconds of climbing, and it causes.
Which is great first found. After we found all the chaos with events and everything.
Yeah, there's another out of bounds you could do, but you need the box for it.
Yeah, after you get on top of that little ledge with the cliff, Greg found out you could get it on that little thing, and then I found out that if you use a box, you can just squeeze through a part of the wall enough to clip out of bounds.
Yeah.
And it actually saves you a bit of time on a normal run. If, say, you didn't use large skips, you could go around the cave to Merrill, and I thought maybe you could skip the cutscene of her asking, I thought you were good with dogs, but it seems like they really stretched that cutscene trigger really far out of the level, so it's basically impossible to avoid.
Alright, so I think we should let Slade talk for a bit, because I realized that he hasn't really been talking that much. Why don't you go ahead and explain this next trick before the staircase?
Yeah.
Oh, for the staircase, yeah. So, when you enter the tower, when you go through that door in the tower, you get seen by a camera. That's an automatic alert. You cannot avoid it. And the trick is that you can throw a grenade in that room, and the explosion will trigger the alert. And since the alert is already triggered, you don't have the little cutscene which shows the enemies running at Snake.
Yeah, it also changes...
Something like 4 or 5 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it also changes the enemy patterns here, which is why it's so different. I ended up finding out that it is just possible with frame-perfect movement to dodge these bullets. I don't think either of you saw that until I ended up showing the run on my stream when it was finished. But yeah, it is just barely possible to dodge bullets there. It's presumably easier to do on the lower difficulties, but there are some enemies that generally when you get close to them, they will melee. But if they're already firing while they're getting close to you, their AI doesn't react in time. So if you can get them to dodge a certain way, sometimes I have to throw them. But the idea is to throw them as minimally as possible. More stairs.
The guards weren't prepared for a task, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, I end up using only about 2 or 3... Oh, yeah, there's another instance of the frame-per bullet dodging there. And I also think there's less lag on this version because there are the guards that are usually chasing you. There's only 2 guards. I think there were about 4 or 5 guards charging me last time. But now there's only 2, so that I ended up saving a little bit of time there just off lag.
There actually is a glitch here too that's not going to be used in the run because it doesn't save time unless it lets us travel over to the other side of the comm tower and enter from the other side. But you can actually go against the railing here because there's a little slope beside it that tries to pop you away from it if you lay down too close to it because the game doesn't want you to glitch. But you can use that to your advantage and crawl towards the slope. As soon as you get up, lay back down, forward, and when you do, it'll have a reverse effect and push you the other way. And then it will actually push you out of the level, over the railing, out of bounds, and you can go out of bounds at this part, but it's useless, so obviously you won't see it here, but it's just something like really funny.
Yeah, you can also go out of bounds in the hind fight, but we're not even going to go into the hind fight, so...
Which you may be wondering, how is that even possible, but...
We'll get to that in a little bit. Don't you worry. Yeah, this part is, I think, one of the only instances where taking damage isn't necessarily slower, but I don't do it anyway. It depends on where you get hit. If you get hit while you're in midair, it doesn't slow you down at all. But it still ended up being faster to not take damage just because of the route that I took here. This is a very bad route to be taking if you're playing the game normally. I would advise against doing that strongly because you will have no control. Also, we're going to be picking up C4 here for another very special trick coming up later. That's another change. And we're not going to be picking up the PSG-1 ammo like I did last time, because you cannot pick up PSG-1 ammo. Or you can, but it claims that the ammo is full, because the weapon still isn't active yet.
The PSG-1 is tied to, I can't remember, oh yeah, the Mantis boss upgrade.
Yeah.
You need that upgrade because the game forces you to get the PSG-1 after Mantis story-wise, because that's when Morale gets shot. So.
Yeah, the Stinger is also dead. Yeah, I call them dead weapons.
The first Sniper Wolf fighting.
Yeah, I go into far more detail than is necessary in my written comments, which you can see by clicking the publication movie and going to authors' comments. But what we're doing here is just trying to make it a little more comprehensive and also have some fun. So, Slade, I'll give you the honors again of explaining weapon erasure, because I think you were the one who found it, right?
I don't think I found this one. Well, I found the weapon glitch, what we call the weapon glitch.
Yeah.
I found it by accident, and then Magnum managed to replicate it. What you have to do is, when you are laying down and you get damaged, if you unequip your item, your left item, and look in FPV down, and if you press the button, I think it's a specific frame, you will have this strange glitch where you can equip any weapon and it doesn't change the weapon that Snake has equipped.
Yeah, it makes the weapon act like weapon A, but expend the ammo of weapon B. And I erased it by the only way...
Exactly like that for all weapons. For SOCOM and FAMAS, you still use the ammo of the SOCOM or FAMAS.
Yeah.
For weapon, it works like that.
The only way I was actually able to get rid of the Stinger there is if you cook the grenade in your hand, because if you throw it, the grenade becomes its own object, and then because it's zero ammo, the game glitches out, and it doesn't actually give you a chaff grenade at all. It disappears. So, because when you're cooking it, the chaff grenade is still part of Snake's character model, that's the only way you're actually allowed to detonate it when you have zero ammo and do a chaff grenade dead weapon combo.
Yeah. You're using 0/0, so the Stinger actually becomes a -1 and deletes itself.
Yep.
Which allows us to skip the outcome cutscene, because the game doesn't want you to go to the hunt with a Stinger, because you could potentially screw yourself and be stuck in the hind fight.
Yeah, it also it changes the box the box arrangement too.
Yeah, the way the game does that is when you go down to that bomb cutscene, Snake sees the stairs broken. The game checks at that point if you have a Stinger or not, and if you do, that's when they move the boxes for you and set the autocom cutscene. If you don't, then nothing's there, because again, they don't want you to go to the hunt with a Stinger.
Yeah.
So at that point, they check if you have a Stinger. So after that, we delete it, and since we delete it again, the cutscene is there, but the boxes are moved. But not officially, since they didn't get moved with the cutscene of autocom showing. So we just go back up, reload the room, and put the boxes back there for what you're about to see.
Yep. This only works when you have a weapon unequipped. It's probably the only time in the game where you'll see me run with a weapon unequipped, because generally it's faster to have it with a weapon equipped. But here you go. I suggest you don't blink again. Usually the RTA strategy for this would be to go around in circles until you get it, but I obviously line this up perfectly. And I throw chaff as well.
Snake manages to not break a single limb.
Yeah, this is not MGS2. There is no fall damage. And now we are going to have a most epic and totally not anticlimactic Sniper Wolf fight. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Totally epic. I can assure you that it will be a very long and unbearably boring sniper battle. Yeah, Otacon, go away. We love you, but you waste time, please. And you have terrible taste in women.
What you're about to see is it actually works with the weapon glitch. That's how this works. But weapon glitch alone won't help it work, or else the game will just crash if you try to walk forward. But Slade found out if you have the PSG-1 out, you can walk past the trigger being shot, and that happens.
Yeah, there's a trigger where you cross a certain when you cross a certain trigger with any weapon other than the PSG-1, the Sniper Wolf will automatically shoot you, and with the amount of life that I had, would kill you instantly. So now we have to go back and actually collect the Stinger again, because we need it for Rex. We don't actually need it for the rat with the PAL card, but it's faster that way. And yeah, basically at this point, one hit from anything will kill me, aside from the sludge from the sewers in the Rex room. That's pretty much the only thing that couldn't kill me. And yeah, this is another unfortunate drawback. I'm just gonna
tried for a while to see if there's a way to go down to the wolf fight and skip the comm tower without deleting the stinger, but it really doesn't look possible.
Yeah.
Unless we can get on the boxes and get inside the... Well, even then we'd have to go back and get the stinger, but get inside the guard fight in the elevator, because then right after we do the guard fight we'd go back up, instead of going to wolves and going all the way back. But I guess then we'd have a guard fight on our hands and that would waste more time, so who knows.
Yeah, I'm not even paying attention to the video at this point. It's not even worth bothering with. Where's the chat thing here? Oh, there's the chat. Here. This is a frame from one of the PG comics, which I thought was pretty funny. You folks at home can't see it, but yeah, it's funny. It's Snake pretending to be a tree.
That's from MGS3?
Yep.
I imagine that, yeah. Neat stuff to talk about when you're just watching Snake go up and down the elevator.
Yeah, the disc switching actually occurs off screen. The way that the emulator works is that there is a state for opening the case and a state for not opening the case. And that happens on 2 frames during this little ditty here. And so it all happens off screen. And it actually, if you're running this in an emulator, it pauses, asks you for a prompt, but you can't see it. And that's it. That's frame perfect disc switching. So most of the big improvements are actually in disc 1. I only end up saving about 10 seconds in disc 2, not because only because I'm under-equipped. Like here, I actually have to go and kill this guy. Normally, I just shoot him with the SOCOM, but I don't have the SOCOM. So yeah, there actually are quite a few improvements, but because I don't have the equipment that I usually have, this ends up only being about 10 seconds faster. I think someone in the workbench currently, we're recording this April 1st, by the way. I submitted this yesterday, but someone in the workbench had the exact. It was it's 2627.95.
Yes.
Also, check out this guy has the best visual perception in the world. Whoop. And that never gets old.
That's how guards work.
Yeah. I think that's surprisingly similar to... There's another glitch that Koji found where he did something similar, except he was actually on main ground and he did something like spam. Yeah. But this is another trick I didn't do, which is going back... exiting and then re-entering the map makes the elevator spawn instantly, which only saves about, I think, a second or 2. Otherwise, you have to wait for the elevator to come up.
I'm not sure who it was who found out about that being faster. Was it Brazilian Joker?
Maybe. I don't think it was in Matt Powell's run.
Don't remember.
But yeah, this fight is improved.
But I didn't see he's running a long time. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah. No, it's the Matt Powell run. I would probably recommend watching it after this just to see how far we've come.
Yeah, really.
In terms of it, I'd also recommend seeing Brazilian Joker's 149.01 and Slade's 110.10, which uses more or less roughly the same route as this, except he also collects the FAMAS, which is just for security.
Extra shafts also, but
yeah,
pretty much the same logic.
Also, I am in love with this camera angle. I just love how Snake is staring into your soul with his non-existent eyes.
Evil face.
Yes.
Since we have time, since it's just a lot of waiting here, might as well explain the weapon glitch actually helps for glitching some more boss fights. The first one that we don't even have to do, but if you do it, the first temporal fight, you can use the same effect to walk past the trigger where you get shot, as long as you have the PSG1 out with the weapon glitch. And you can walk right up to her and beat her by punching her and kicking her, which is actually really hilarious. She doesn't know what to do, and her body warps all over the place, and she falls. She can actually fall down under the tower that she's normally supposed to snipe from, and it's pretty hilarious. Mm-hmm. And this fight too, you can because normally the way they make this Raven fight work, if you get too close to him, it's like another trigger where you get knocked away, where you're supposed to get quote-unquote punched by him.
Yeah.
And if you do the weapon glitch, again, you can walk up to him without, activating that trigger, and you can just stand right in front of him all day, and you can't really punch him to death because I don't think you can get close enough, but you can SOCOM him, which takes about, 200 SOCOM bullets or something like that. I tested one day, and it took a while.
Yeah, so this is just a half-second improvement on Raven here, using basically the same strategy, except I used a little better manipulation on the first Nikita to try and get him into a better position here. Basically, the only reason this works is because during Raven's invincibility animation, he is not only incapable of being shot, but he also cannot shoot, which is the only reason why these Nikita missiles are phasing right through his bullets.
Also, I think it's pretty cool to mention right now that this is actually our first boss fight of the entire run.
Yes, and this is the boss fight that reactivates the Stinger as well. If we had skipped Raven, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this, I don't think.
Normally, the Stinger wouldn't be tied to Raven. The Stinger is tied to the first wolf fight, which we skipped, and we can't get her life upgrade because it's tied to the cutscene of when we shoot her and actually kill her, the final shot. So we were screwed for a while, and that's how the Comm Tower skip helped us.
Yeah.
The way this game works, if you beat a later boss, it adds all the life upgrades from previous bosses onto the bar for you, so you have the full life bar. So since it adds the life that we get from the wolf fight, it reactivates the Stinger, and we can use it again.
Hmm. And yeah, you'll be seeing this map a lot.
So now you're gonna start collecting ammo. So.
Yep, this guy. This is not particularly interesting, but yeah. Anything else? There's a certain video that I'm going to be linking that I have linked. I'm sorry, in the comments. I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to play it during a particularly boring section or not, but it's you know what it is, Magnum. It's when you first discovered the hide and skip.
I'm trying to remember that.
You can't remember that?
Well, I know. I'm wondering if he means because I remember this is when we were first stuck a while back. I found a hide and skip. You actually activate the fight itself, and if you glitch on top of a railing in the fight, you can walk around the entire piping and the railing and warp back inside the building itself where you started and leave the hind fight. But the game doesn't stop the hind fight until you actually get the cutscene of finishing it off.
Yeah.
So that glitch still left us kind of fucked over, and it was the Comm Tower skip that helped us finish it. So I'm wondering if you're talking about that.
I'm referring to the first time you found the high fall. Also,
yes. I was pretty happy.
Yeah. Also, this is a good example of explaining R1 canceling. It's one of the oldest tricks in MGS1. Basically, Snake only makes footstep animations when his foot actually hits the ground, and there's an extra frame or two of animation where Snake just sort of glides when you equip or unequip weapons. So, mashing R1 by equipping and unequipping allows you to run on loud surfaces without making noise.
And you get to have an additional little bonus of seeing Snake ski.
Yes. I think I also make him ski in a play around. This is another unavoidable encounter, even if you kill the guard here. I think we do end up skipping one encounter, don't we? Isn't there one encounter, one mandatory? I think does the Merrill fight actually count as an alert? Because I know it is an alert, but whether it actually counts,
I don't think it does count.
No, it doesn't count now. Not this one.
Which is a shame, because then we could have one more alert to play with.
Well, there was kind of in the second camera when I go to deposit the cold key. I get that, but anyway, that's a suboptimal ladder climb because I'm manipulating the frames for getting the rat in the best spot. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of Disc 2 is coming out right now. I can't believe this actually worked. This is a variation on the stinger method that I used in my last task. So I'm just going to put the stinger, run into the water, and then pick up the pallet key during the cutscene.
Lands right on Snake.
Yep. I don't think you were aware of that until after I finished the run. Were you, Magnum?
Nope. First time I saw that was the time you streamed it before you submitted it.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a fetish with sort of making the stream, or sort of streaming my my TAS in advance, at least 2 or 3 times on my channel before I actually submitted the thing. So I was just too anxious to wait.
And the funny little fact about that rat actually, it might be a little blessing in disguise that we lose that PAL key and have to get out of the rat, because if you pay close enough attention to this run, the entire run we actually don't get the PAL key at all because of all the skips in this run. So if we didn't have that little part where we have to go fetch it from the sewers, then we would have no PAL key to even finish this game.
Yeah, my guess is that it just erases the original PAL key from your inventory and then makes a second PAL key spawn with the rat.
And if not for that, we would be screwed.
Yeah, there's no lag when I flipped them over there because there was the extra call that I had to avoid. Anyway, yeah, it's here. I think there's another alert that I almost trigger when I go back for the cold key. So the cold key room is one of the most infamous rooms in the game, at least for Magnum, because there is a particular out of bounds glitch that Magnum found. He was very proud of it. I tried. I had gotten tendonitis in my right hand from job searching, and I was trying desperately. It was just like within the last 2 weeks of trying to make this run. This run only took about 2 months compared to the 3 years that it took for my 139. But this particular out of bounds trick uses crawling on Raven's gun in a particular way, and then using a certain trick to get you out of bounds. I never managed to get it.
It's basically the same way the comm tower glitch works earlier that I was talking about. It's in the first comm tower, A, not B, where there's a little... It's anywhere in the game where there's a little slope that if you try to lay directly on it, it'll push you away from an object that you're towards because it doesn't want you laying too close to a certain area. It's just weird. I'm not sure exactly how the mechanic works. So you use Raven's gun like that because there's a little area on Raven's gun where it's a slope. The snake pops slightly up on the ground. So you want to crawl back into the slope and stand up, and as soon as you stand up, lay back down forward across the slope, so you're lined up with it, and it'll push you back through the wall in this room that you're in right now, and you can actually go out of bounds in this warehouse.
I also discovered that if you shoot a Nikita missile through an open door, it just disappears. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
there's out of bounds too, because when I found this out of bounds glitch, I was working with the Nikita. There's some areas where if you go out of bounds, test Nikita, it will still fly and just go to the end.
yeah.
But there's some weird blackened areas that it blew up on its own, even when it was not near the door, which I found pretty weird.
Yeah. Kids, I advise that you do not try this at home with your own Nikita missiles.
I'm not sure where you'd be getting them, but don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is similar to the play around that I did last time for this room, but I'm much more proud of the hot room key, which I actually did manage to get out of bounds on. And it takes, I think, a little over a minute for the key to cool or warm. But thank God for the steam pipes and twin snakes. So yeah, that's pretty much on the exact frame where it gets cool. And I use a chaff here because I have it, and it's faster to go through here, and it causes less lag from all of the cameras shooting at you. The game kind of expects you to either use chaff or to blow everything up with stingers. Yeah, I'm losing my voice already. It's only been, what, 45 minutes?
Yeah. Sadly, this is another part we wish we could skip, because it's a very pointless part of the run, just backtracking, but it seems impossible at this moment in time.
So, Slade, why don't you walk us through how you were feeling during your 1-10-10? What are the big, aside from the FAMAS, what do you think are the big differences in terms of routing for an RTA using these glitches?
You mean compared to
compared to the 106 that I have?
Well, maybe. Well, I don't know. There's not much differences. So the main difficulty in the new route is that you have you don't have a lot of health to work with, so you cannot take much damage. And aside from that, yeah, you have to. I pick up the FAMAS at the beginning in the.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that was the quasi alert. I was one frame away from getting an alert there. The music still plays.
That's quite awesome, yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt, Slade, continue.
No, not a problem. Yeah, so I take the format to for two instances in the game. First, the tower, the chase in the tower, and the second is for the cargo elevator fight, where it's pretty much impossible to do it. Well, it's possible, but it's very hard to do it without the format. So
yeah, what about that one guy at the start of Disc 2?
what did you say?
What about that one guy at the start of Disc 2?
At the start of Disc 2? Oh yeah, I shoot this guy too, yes, exactly. Because, there's the guy that can see you when you cross the crane. And I hit this guy with the FAMAS, yeah. So yes, that's 3 instances where I use it.
Yeah, whereas in my run I just used R1 cancel, and I could just use the SOCOM. I used the SOCOM there in my previous run. The only thing I'm sad about with this, the fire room, is that I no longer have my favorite play around from the previous room, where I went into that little area you're not supposed to get to and just kept knocking on the wall, seeing the one guard. But I kind of like this one almost as much, the one that I had, which I wanted to do because I just wanted to do something different for this. Yeah, believe it or not, there's actually guards in this area, but I took a very easy route that avoids all of them. They're completely deaf in this area. It's just
something Slade was talking about too about the normal route for like RTA is 110-10. Something like he said, you have to worry about health a lot. One major part that comes into play is the repel part. You have to almost do that close to perfect on a big boss run, or you will not have enough health to do the weapon glitches after. So that's one part you really have to get down.
Yeah, you can get hit once or twice, but more than that, and you pretty much screwed, yeah.
Which isn't too big of a deal for Slade, because he's pretty good at it. Where for someone like me, I'm not really that great at that repel part, so I get kind of pummeled.
Yeah, I think there might also be some loading differences between the PSN version of this game, and I'm running obviously on PSX Gen, which pretty accurately emulates the PS1 loading times. I think there might be a little bit of a loading discrepancy for the PSN version. I don't know.
Not sure of that myself. I was wondering too.
I definitely know that on PS2 at least, when you backwards compatible it, that the elevator at the beginning lowers much faster because there's no lag. I remember because I lost like 5 seconds off of Brazilian Joker's run when I was comparing them earlier, like right away, just because I couldn't. It's because I was running on PS1.
So yeah, it's just heating and cooling a card here.
Yeah. Also, the version we're using to the end code that we're using here has a troll face as the thumbnail.
Yes.
And my original submission comment was just a big exclamation mark, the end code, and then I wrote, "Admit it, you thought this wasn't an actual submission, did you?" in Rot 13 cipher. And that was pretty much the entirety of that submission. The version you see right now is the much more extensive, 5 or 6 page comments that I wrote. But when it was initially put in on April Fool's, okay, so this actually loses a bit of time because of the fade in fade out transitions, but it also means I get some extra stinger ammo early, which saves a bit of time on Rex. And here we go. Bye. Whee!
And under the level, lava doesn't matter.
Yeah, lava is just Kool-Aid in Metal Gear Solid Land.
Now we're back up.
And I just
you'll see Snake soon. Yes, you will. There he is.
Yeah, one thing I didn't actually realize until after I had finished is that the map actually wraps around itself.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go up here and go back to where I was earlier and just run against that for a couple seconds. And the trigger is... I think I'm like a couple of frames outside of the trigger for opening the door. And I just stand here. Where did Snake go? Probably should have gotten a first-person view for that. That would have been interesting, but oh well. I'm not going to be.
A lot of the levels do look pretty interesting when you look at them outbound first-person view.
Yeah, I'm not going to redo 20 minutes of this run just for entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah, this run technically ends at the 56-minute mark, but the thing is that the in-game timer actually runs until Ocelot ends his call with the president, and my input ends when I skip the last cutscene. when I skipped the last cutscene just after the credits, the one with the adorable husky dogs.
No evil snake face here.
No, I've already used the evil snake face gimmick.
Need variety.
Yes. And there are, I think the guards in the next ice room area have a different formation as well, because I take a different route through them. It's like the guard placement was really lazy for that segment, even on extreme. Let's see, as of now, I have... Oh, I got a no vote from somebody. And yeah, so currently has 5 yes votes and 1 no vote. Oh, and there's snake skiing in the workbench. I also put Phantom Pain instead of the big boss rank in the initial April Fool's version of this. Just as sort of as a reference to Metal Gear Solid 5. But apparently most people missed the joke. Sadly.
Yeah, it actually worked out pretty perfectly, because I remember you working on this run. It's not like you delayed it to have April Fool's Day. You were trying your best, and it just helped. I think you only finished it like 2 or 3 days before April Fool's.
Yeah, I did end up delaying it just by about 3 or 4 days, because I had gotten the idea. I had gotten the idea for the April Fool's stuff around in February-ish, as I had no idea how long it would take, and I had thought that it just time-wise it managed to fit almost perfectly. I ended up having to delay it just for a few days to... I think I ended up submitting it like at 9 p.m. on March 31st, because Tazvids, who did the original encode for this, the one that we're using for syncing purposes, uploaded his on April 1st by UK time, whereas despite my username, I am actually Canadian from Toronto, as is Magnum. Magnum here from Belleville, I think? No.
Brockville.
Brockville, yeah. One of those, one of the smaller Ontario towns.
Yes, very small. I think it's only like 3 or 4 hours away from Toronto.
Yeah. Well, you're putting Brockville on the map, baby. Congratulations. Yep. So here I don't use the chaff, and you'll see how much lag there is. Yeah.
Yeah. You can see that.
And this is it. This is the last time that we have to endure this crap again, and then Miller gets all traitorous on us, and we can start the Rex fight, which is, again, it's a little bit faster. I also end up taking damage during the Rex fight because it ended up being slightly faster during the end of the second phase of the fight, and because I have a lot more Stinger missiles going into it. There was a section during the second phase where I had to go collect more ammo in the 139, which I don't do anymore. I'm still amazed by how little time I ended up saving on this disc, despite all the improvements. To the point where I got really suspicious of it, and it just didn't. The math didn't seem to add up, yet it did. So yeah, here we go. The hotkey. Yeah, gonna give my voice a rest for a bit. I think I know exactly what to do for liquid speech later, so I'm just gonna get that ready. I have a plan. Yep, we got Otacon,
more waiting for Otacon, waiting for Pal Keys to freeze and heat.
Padding in my Metal Gear? No way. And here we go, here's Rex. I equipped the Stinger on the very last frame possible, but it still ends up starting me off unequipped, which is fine by me because I have to collect just 5 extra Stinger missiles, and that's perfectly fine for me. And then I can just kick Rex's ass. Rex has a critical hitbox on his radome, which is normally only accessible when you log on. It is possible, but very difficult to manually hit it.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm doing it every single time. And that was within a frame of hitting me there. the strategically placed laser. And more unskippable cutscene. Thanks for that. Thanks, Kojima. We really need to see this constantly. Yeah. So, how have your run attempts gone so far since you got that 110? Have you gotten close yet?
Oh no, I didn't make a lot of attempts lately.
Ah, okay.
I grew a bit tired of the run for now. So I'm taking a break.
Well, I look forward to seeing a 109 or 108 one of these days.
Yeah, 108 I don't think I will be able to do it, but 109, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 109 is definitely there.
Alright, so it's liquid speech time. Time for me to pull my own prank.
Hold on, right. That's me showing my, you'd think I don't like Kojima from that, but I actually do. I love the man, but I was very happy.
And the elevator doesn't work. Still on the bottom. Yeah, it was.
That's great.
And this was on what difficulty were you doing this on? Clearly, it's not.
Metal Gear Solid. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, and. Yeah, clearly that was not on extreme because you still had the radar on that. What difficulty were you playing on there?
All the glitch testing I did was on normal, so it was easier to test the glitching and stuff like that.
Yeah, for those the original Japanese version had an easy and a no radar mode, which easy was the equivalent, I think, of normal, and no radar was normal without a radar. The Japanese didn't actually get a chance to play on extreme until the Integral release came out for PS1 and PC. Also, I made this little thing by actually just trying to do like a simple rotation, but having it sped up at 800%, which is why I have such an unusual pattern here. I deliberately made that to create an input that would be truly random. So yeah, if you're easily nauseous, you probably shouldn't be watching this part. This cutscene is skippable on the Integral version, but we didn't do the Integral version because I don't think any of us confirmed whether or not the out-of-bounds stuff works on Integral. Does it?
I'm not sure myself.
Yeah, well.
It should. I know that apparently PC version has an issue with the compare skip.
Yeah.
When you go back after Wolf, apparently the elevator is still broken and you can't take it back up. From what I heard from SDA, they said they tried that.
Yeah, the PC version would be ideal because it's the only version of this game that allows you to skip codecs completely as opposed to fast-forwarding through them.
Yeah.
And I think it's also the only game in the series where you can do that, aside from Metal Gear Solid 4. And Peace Walker, sort of, but that's just the mission briefings.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. We've got another fight. This is basically another variation on a strategy that I did for my previous run, except now it's better. It's about a half a second faster, more or less. Basically, it's the infinite combo setup, except now I only need to do a single one punch instead of a two punch. It's very hard to set that up optimally. While it is possible to do it without flipping, the luck manipulation just doesn't work for that. In terms of getting a constant combo, it ends up being faster to do to do my old method with better positioning. If you cross this line, you'll fall. If I cross it, I'll hang to the edge and miraculously survive. Alright, here we go. This is our epic liquid battle. I'm sure it'll be long and drawn out and very intense. And not one-sided in the slightest. Oh, no, I guess not. Many comparisons were made to Kenshiro. I'm pretty sure Otacon is pissing his pants watching this, just imagining imagining Snake and Fist of the North Star. He'd be into that sort of thing.
Snake's fighting hard for that woman up there that he doesn't quite know.
And who is actually dead in this ending.
Yes. How she died, we're not quite sure.
Yeah, she died for some reason, and now we get to let the nerd drive. This is also hard to manipulate. I remember this was probably the point. Around the time that I did the liquid fight, my laptop died on me. I was able to buy an HDD and get the external hard drive and get all my stuff transferred onto it, which means I was running on Windows 7 off a borrowed laptop. At this point, I just really wanted the run to end, just get it submitted, and so I probably could have done this section a little better, but I was just so pissed by that point. I had gone through tendonitis. I still have it right now. I'm still up wearing the brace, and I just wanted this run to end. I wanted it to submit it, and it's frame perfect, but it probably looks a little sloppier than it could have. But I just it's entirely my fault. I just wanted this thing over with. Somehow I still managed to save like 5 seconds off of this area compared to the previous run. Actually, no, I think it was 7 seconds. And when you compare it to like the last frame that you see on the before Liquid gets in the Jeep.
How many re-records again did you have in total? Something like 24,000?
For this version, I am gonna check. Hold on a minute. This version I didn't have anywhere near as many. I only had 24,659. I had about 60 or 70,000, I think, for the previous version. But those re-records include some of the stuff from the previous play around. So yeah, that's so for here, Liquid will always duck. The trick here is to try and get Liquid to pop his head out just enough that you can sort of manipulate his frames here. And there's another trick which unfortunately ruins the 100% accuracy for the Gatling gun section, but it's necessary in order to hit Liquid right at the start here. For some reason, it does not work if you only press square on the right frame, and I have no idea why. I still only shoot as little as I need to, but yeah, Liquid has, this tunnel is endless. Liquid has, I think, 16 hits that he takes, each of which is separated by 3 or 4 phases. But yeah, doing this part was a huge pain, both literally and physically. So literally and figuratively in my case. Yeah, this is it. This is probably the easiest part of the Liquid section. You could actually just hold down square for the Gatling gun for that part when you're in between, and you can hit him optimally. I think you need to be in the right section. And
this is it.
Yep.
There we go.
That's the game firing the machine gun, by the way. That's not me. And there we go. That's the run pretty much. That's it for player control.
And it's sub 1 hour at this point, but
yeah, it's 58 30, I think, is when Otacon's is daylight. But yeah, this is the 15th anniversary of the release of Metal Gear Solid 1, and we're celebrating it by breaking it entirely. So yeah, go us.
I would like to see Kojima's reactions to some of these.
He'd probably laugh his ass off doing him. He'd find it hilarious. And yeah, the credits add to the timer, and input stops just after the credits. So that's it. I think we're gonna just let the credits roll. Final time is 1:06:01 in game. Anyway, it's been great doing this commentary for you guys. Again, yes. I'm the Englishman, and I was joined by Magnum.
That is me.
And by Slade.
Hey, it's me.
And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of this commentary.
And in the end, I remember when we were first finding these glitches. I think it was first when the torture skip happened. I uploaded the video, and the Englishman himself commented and asked, "Does this mean I have to redo my tasks?" in the end, yes, but you see it paid off. So
yes. Oh, I didn't know that Genome Soldier A and B had their own... everyone's surname in this part is actually fake, except for David Hayter.
Yeah, I heard about that
for some bizarre reason, I don't know. Like Christopher Reynolds, Luther Fitz, that kind of thing. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this commentary. It's been a blast, and I hope you enjoyed the run. And, yeah, if you want to know more information about what went into this run, check out my written comments in the author's comments on the TAS Videos page. Thank you so much, and I will hope to see you guys again next time.
And see you next time for Sub 1 Hour.
Yay, Sub 1 Hour.
See ya.
Yes, sir. The entire unit was wiped out. Those two are still alive. The Vector? Yes, sir. Fox die should become activated soon. Right on schedule. Yes, sir. I recovered all of Rex's dummy warhead data. No, sir. My cover is intact. Nobody knows who I really am. Yes, the DARPA chief knew my identity, but he's been disposed of. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. President.